could already see my comment section, bro. I don't even need to upload a video to already tell what you guys are going to be commenting as soon as you see this video uploaded. Mike, since when has this become a Lonzo Ball channel? Well, I don't know what to tell you. This is the craziest news we're getting so far, and I figured I'd keep you guys up to date on everything. So yesterday we uploaded a video which, in its own right, was extremely sketchy. And as a matter of fact, it's so sketchy that I'm having trouble finding the audio clip in regards to this. So we're just gonna say this is what allegedly was said, because every major media source from CBS to ESPN, and this originally came from ESPN Radio, claims that LeVar Ball said these words. So yesterday, LeVar Ball was on ESPN Radio, and this is the exact quote, which is different than the quote I gave you in yesterday's video. When asked about how he feels about Lonzo Ball on the New Orleans Pelicans, he said, no, he can't stay in New Orleans. And LeVar apparently screamed when he said this. And by the way, if you find the clip of this, DM it to me, please, on Instagram or Twitter or something. Come on, man. Come on, listen. Lonzo's always been a playmaker. Why are you trying to change him into a defensive specialist that stays in the corner and shoots threes? And you're trying to change Zion and Brandon Ingram, who all through their careers have never been playmakers. They're scorers. Now you want to put the ball in their hands and be playmakers? Go score the ball and do what you do, and guess what? They're gonna have a hard time trying to win every game if the playmaker ain't making the right plays. Now, the original quote that I reported yesterday, which might be a little bit more sketchy, which isn't really confirmed, NBA Central tweeted it and multiple other people tweeted it, went along the lines of Lonzo Ball can't stand the New Orleans Pelicans, which I personally said in the video that we made yesterday makes no sense whatsoever. I thought it was complete BS. You don't get your jump shot remade and you don't get developed into a better player and then end up resenting the team that ended up developing you from a raw prospect to a very productive and efficient player. Unless if your name is Kawhi Leonard and your uncle happens to have beef with the San Antonio Spurs. And yes, that actually happened. That's why he got traded to the Toronto Raptors, but I digress. So as a result, we got a handful of brand new Lonzo Ball trade rumors. And well, since this is my full-time job, I figured that I'd sit down and assess the validity of these trade rumors for you guys, because typically I really do hit on these, and at the very least I give you guys a logical point of view. Before we get to that, take a moment to slap a like on this like button, because I'm on 3.5 hours of sleep. Don't ask me why. It's been a very crazy day. There's more info on my Instagram or on my Twitter, and that's the only thing about my personal life I'm going to get to. On top of that, we're starting a brand new podcast. We're 100 subscribers away from unveiling the other 2 co-hosts of the podcast. So far, nobody got it right, so you guys have something to be excited about. The podcast is called Laced Up, and now that I got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So about a week ago, and I said this in my video yesterday, exactly a week ago, we made a video about the New Orleans Pelicans having a dilemma with Lonzo Ball. And the dilemma is actually a pretty good dilemma to be in. You see, Lonzo Ball is having the best year of his career after turning down a contract extension that lowballed him from the New Orleans Pelicans, which obviously, if you're the Pelicans, you're going to lowball Lonzo Ball when his value is at an all-time low. And if you're Lonzo Ball, you're going to reject that and bet on yourself because, well, I guess Lonzo Ball thought that he was going to take strides with his jump shot this year, which was a very good bet to make on himself, because if you look at his statistics over the first 3 years of his career, he's been more or less the same player. Now this year, he's really taken the next step. He's established himself as a very good three-point shooter, a player that's very reliable on the defensive end, and a team-first player. All things that most teams that are competing for championships would love. But on top of that, what complicates things is Lonzo Ball comes with significant market value, meaning he's an extremely marketable player. So a team like the New York Knicks would love him, and a team like the Los Angeles Clippers, who are also point guard needy, would also love him. And we're going to get to this in just a second. As a result, the New Orleans Pelicans are in this very tough predicament. Lonzo Ball set to become a restricted free agent this offseason. Reportedly, according to what we're hearing out there, if he gets paid or offered more than $18 million, the Pelicans won't match that offer sheet, which means Lonzo Ball would leave for next to nothing. Whereas if he was traded right now, at least the Pelicans would get something in return. Now, why is this such a big deal? Because if you're the New Orleans Pelicans, players aren't necessarily lining up to go and sign with you. No matter how good Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram are, players typically target large markets unless if you pay them above market value contracts. So if you are to lose a player, you want to at least get something in return for said player. With that being said, I'm going to bring you the latest piece of information I saw. We woke up to this and it's from a very reputable source, and that source is by the name of Mark Stein. So the Los Angeles Clippers are clearly not doing as well as they expected. Go figure. If you go from Doc Rivers to Tyronn Lue and just swap out some role players and maybe add Serge Ibaka and lose Montrezl Harrell, who was the sixth man of the year, yeah, you are going to regress a little bit. We could have saw this coming, but hey, when I reported it, many people just said I was a Clipper hater and just a biased Laker fan. Now everybody knows that the Los Angeles Clippers desperately need a point guard at this point. You see what I did there? Point guard. At this point. Okay, anyways, the Clippers have been linked to many point guard prospects, one being Kyle Lowry, who initially, and I got this wrong, initially was rumored to be linked to the Los Angeles Clippers and the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Toronto Raptors were very motivated to trade him to the Philadelphia 76ers, but we found out yesterday that the Toronto Raptors aren't trading Kyle Lowry. So now the Clippers are getting a little desperate. You have 6 days and a huge hole at the point guard position. And honestly, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard desperately need a playmaker on their side in order for them to be as efficient and effective as possible. Enter Lonzo Ball. So according to Mark Stein, the Los Angeles Clippers, with a well-chronicled need for a playmaking upgrade, are exploring trade routes to acquiring New Orleans' Lonzo Ball before next Thursday's NBA trade deadline, league sources say. Oh boy, if you're LeVar Ball, you must be jumping for joy for seeing this. You must be doing everything in your power to try to make this happen. This is like the perfect piece of information if you're LeVar. Lonzo gets to go back to LA, but not only is he in a large market, which you so wanted for Lonzo, but he gets to go to the rival of the team that drafted him and then eventually traded him for a once-in-a-generation type player, which for some reason you're resenting that team for doing so. This is literally LeVar Ball's dream. Hell, this is a Clipper fan's dream. Lonzo Ball, in my opinion, could be a very helpful and productive player on a championship team. Then you take off those pink goggles and you sit down and stop thinking emotionally and you start thinking logically, and then you say, okay, this sounds great. How are we going to make it happen? Well, I'm going to give it to you straight. When I look at the Los Angeles Clippers roster, the only player that I could look at and say, hey, you know, that might be a nice piece if I'm trying to make a run into the playoffs, would be Lou Williams. So the issue is, how do we make this happen? If you go into the ESPN trade machine, the only way you could make such a move happen is if you offer Lou Williams and, I don't know, like maybe Patrick Patterson and trade him for Lonzo Ball. Now, in terms of getting equal value for Lonzo Ball, this trade completely misses the dot if you're a Pelicans fan. There is no way David Griffin says yes to this. Now, if you're a Clipper fan, you would want to offer draft picks. The problem is you gave up a ridiculous amount of draft picks in order to trade for Paul George. As a matter of fact, unless if I'm completely missing something here, the next tradable first-round draft pick the Los Angeles Clippers have is their 2027 first-round draft pick. So here's what's going to have to happen in order for a Lonzo Ball trade to happen. And then you're going to understand how much of a long shot this is. One, David Griffin is going to have to say, hey, you know what, that 2027 first round draft pick sounds fine to me, so long if it's unprotected. We'll take it, and we don't really want much else for Lonzo Ball. Just give us Patrick Patterson and Lou Williams, and we'll happily give you Lonzo Ball. That's the first thing that needs to happen. The second thing that needs to happen is the fact that the New York Knicks have to not offer something better for Lonzo Ball. which is totally going to happen. You see, like, if Lonzo Ball's on the market, the haul that the New Orleans Pelicans can get from the New York Knicks is significantly better than any offer that the Clippers can give up. That's the next thing. And then finally, the Los Angeles Clippers are going to have to find a way to free up the cap space to pay Lonzo Ball anywhere, if they're lucky, within the realm of $14 million to $20 million next year, meaning they would have to give up a first-round draft pick in 2027, mortgage their future even more, give up Lou Williams, give up Patrick Patterson, pray to the gods that there's no other team that gives up a better deal for Lonzo Ball, and actually pray that the New Orleans Pelicans elect to trade Lonzo Ball, on top of hopefully find a way to extend Lonzo once he does join the Los Angeles Clippers in order for this to make sense. If you ask me, and I've been wrong before, I've been 100% wrong before, and I'm going to admit this, I think that this trade is such a long shot that I think you have less than a 10% chance that this happens. It's a lovely fairy tale to believe in. I think it's a beautiful fairy tale to believe in, but think of it this way, and take to the comment section down below. Maybe someone could prove me wrong here. Is there a legitimate way that the Los Angeles Clippers could potentially swing a trade for Lonzo Ball? Do the Pelicans even want to give up Lonzo Ball? I don't really think so. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.